So you have a bike and an action camera, and you're ready to shred the trails. But before you do that, let's go over a few things that I've learned in making the last few videos that are gonna help you produce better content. Now you need to choose your lens, your frame rate, and also your resolution. And now if you're filming for Instagram, a 4.3 aspect ratio like 1440 is gonna be fine. But if you're filming for YouTube or Facebook, you're likely gonna be filming in 1080, 2.7, or 4K in order to achieve a 16:9 aspect ratio. I generally run 2.7K or 4K for the most crispy videos. Now, as far as lens goes, I'm gonna recommend you run Super View if you're gonna go for a mountain biking POV. Whether it's on the chest or it's on your chin, it's just gonna make for a better point of view. Now, as far as frames per second goes, most people run either 30 or 24 frames per second. And while 60 looks good, it's super crispy, it captures a lot more, it's unnecessary and the files are huge. So if you're transferring them from the GoPro app via Wi-Fi or just transferring them from your SD card to your computer, it's gonna take a lot longer to do so. So you have the GoPro settings figured out, and we're talking just lens, frame rate, and resolution. And now you need to mount it to yourself. So you're probably gonna go with either a chest or a chin mount. And I have a few chest mounts here to talk about. So first is the GoPro Chesty. And this is a lot of people's go-to mount. It's like $40 or $50. I don't necessarily like the GoPro Chesty, a lot of people do. It's padded on the inside, which is nice. It's comfortable on your chest, but the straps up top are rather thin. They just have this Y mount back here, and it tends to bounce around a bit. When people have it mounted to their chest here, it doesn't have a huge surface area, so it'll tend to do this as you're riding unless you have the straps extremely tight. So because of that, I opted for the Stuntman action mount. It's got a much larger chest plate, and you might think, well, this is dangerous. It's actually extremely pliable plastic. I've crashed with it, it doesn't seem to hurt. And then you can either get it with this mount here specifically for GoPro, or you can get the action camera mount, which is a ball style mount. You can move it up or down, side to side. And this tends to be perfect for what I need to do. I do like the strap orientation in the back a little bit better. I actually was able to mount it backwards recently and get some awesome clips of Sully, which is in a video you may or may not have already seen. So I run the Stuntman. I think I paid 45 bucks for this one. Shipped from San Diego in a couple days, and I've been extremely happy with this. So you've got your chest mount options, the GoPro Chesty as well as the Stuntman, or you're gonna run on the chin, which you can either buy a chin mount or you can modify an existing GoPro mount, and that's what I did here. So I took the POC helmet, I drilled a couple holes in the screen, dropped in the GoPro J-hook, and slides right into there. So I generally like the POV of the chin just a little bit better than the chest. The chest is nice, it's mounted lower and you get more of the arms and the bike, but the chin provides a much better POV. It also provides a much more stable footage. The head is a natural gimbal, so when you're riding down the trail, a lot of those bumps and chattery hits that you feel and you see in the chesty, you do not see in the chin. Now this brings me to my first hack. The wind noise on GoPro, especially when you're going fast downhill, is horrible, absolutely horrible. So I took this on recommendation from the Colorado kid, Joe. He recommended these Rycote Micro Windjammers, also known as mic covers. These were $15. I bought them online. You can get them on Amazon. It comes with 6 in a pack and a bunch of these stickers as well. This is a GoPro without the micro windjammer. So you've got a microphone here as well as a microphone right there. And on mine, I'm running both the mic covers. So you've got mounted one here on the side, this one here. It does impede the mount just a little bit, not terribly. I can reach in and just pop it out. And they are longer from the factory. I trimmed them down quite a bit, but yep, they mount just like that and they produce way better audio quality. I've been extremely happy with this so far. In comparison to a video I posted previously where I was in Half Moon Bay, it was just ridiculous. You couldn't hear anything but the wind noise. And now that I have these mic covers, you hear the tires, you hear the bike, you mainly hear my free hub. Breathing a little bit if it's on my chin, but really not too bad. Hack number 1, mic covers, Windjammer, Wind Slayer, some sort of wind that isn't the GoPro wind canceling setting, which doesn't really work. So to our next hack. I run the chest mount most of the time when I'm riding, And you need to make sure that when you put your GoPro on the chest mount, it's in the same orientation every time. So what I did is first I used a Sharpie marker when I had my GoPro mounted, and I noticed that that wasn't precise enough for me. So I ended up cutting a little line here perfectly. And so when I take my GoPro and I drop it into my mount, I know every single time that I'm lining it up perfectly. So I drop it in there, tighten it up, line the lines up, and bam. Every time I go out, my GoPro's mounted like this, I know it's perfect. So when I go down the trail and I'm following one of my friends and he does something cool, or there's a banger, there's a crash, I know I'm getting it on video because this is perfect. Now, the caveat to running this chest mount is, one, it's mounted like this, right? So when I'm riding, it's perfect. But when I stop to talk to friends, grab B-roll clips of us just congregating at a trailhead, it looks horrible because you're looking up at the sky. So what I tend to do is lean over and high-five people at the end of the day, which is horrible. I don't like that. That's probably the worst part about this chest mount. Now, if you're riding by yourself, that doesn't matter because you're not getting B-roll footage. But if you're in a group and you're doing a group ride and you want to get those B-roll clips of you and your friends or somebody doing something, the chin mount is by far the best. It's right here, it's underneath your head. Whatever you are looking at, your GoPro's looking at, which is nice. So if you look down at your bike or you do some trick in midair, you know it's gonna capture it, which is nice. So I've got my two hacks now. I've got the Windjammers and I've got the angle of the GoPro. Now, most of my editing in the beginning was done on my iPhone. I have an 11 Pro Max, and for most of it, it did really well. But now it's getting to the point where I have a lot more clips, I need to do a lot more editing, so I'm transferring my SD card into an SD card reader, and it's going into my computer. It's much easier to transfer it that way, it's faster, and it's easier to cut clips in and out versus dropping them all into my phone and then sifting through them. So that's important to think about before you're gonna capture your video. Are you gonna do a quick little edit on your phone, or are you gonna do more in-depth edit on your computer? Also, it's worth noting that whenever you compress a file and post it to YouTube, Facebook, whatever, it's always going to shrink the quality down and make it worse than what you see on your phone, GoPro, whatever. So I recommend 4K minimum, because once you compress it on YouTube, Facebook, it's gonna get digitally, especially at 1080p, and then when it compresses it, there's a lot of digital noise up in both sides when you're looking at the POV. That's something that I tuned in from watching Jay, Bike Som's videos, and also Mr. Percussive. Their quality was always extremely crispy, and mine didn't look as well. So that was a hack that they gave to me, is just anytime, especially in iMovie, at the end of your file, make sure that it's in 4K. And yes, it does take up more space on your computer, and yes, it takes longer to upload or to render the file, but it's worth it in the end because YouTube's gonna end up compressing it anyways, and you want your viewers to see the content the same way that you saw it, or the high quality that you want it to be seen in. So it's just a few things I've learned in the last couple videos. I want to make sure that you guys don't have to deal with the same issues that I did. Just as a little PS at the end here, there's a few things that I recommend. One, clean up your cockpit on your bike. If you've got your phone mounted up there, you've got a Garmin, you've got your bells, you've got lights, all those things, it's extremely distracting for me and other viewers as well. If you need to ride with a bell because you don't want to hit a hiker, that's fine. But all those other extra things, they just really clutter up the cockpit. It's like watching someone drive a car with a bunch of teddy bears on the dash or something. Just eliminate that stuff, clean it up. You know, us other fellow mountain bikers, we want to see good quality footage and also good riding, but a nice clean cockpit, it's more appealing to us, the viewers. That's just a tip that I've kind of picked up. Also, something that I recommend is just make a thumbnail. You know, GoPro's gonna choose, or YouTube's gonna choose just a little snippet of your ride and post it as your thumbnail, and it's just not appealing to the viewer. If you can download an app, you know, Canva is a great app. I use Photoshop. Some people use Illustrator or whatever the case may be, just to drop a photo in there and highlight it and change it up a little bit. Yeah, just make a thumbnail. It's simple, it's easy, it makes the viewer want to click on your video, which is going to help promote you. I'm trying to do my best to make it look appealing and take a good photo. I usually don't do screen grabs from the GoPro. I do occasionally, but most of the time I try to take a photo somewhere throughout the day to use as my thumbnail. Take it with a grain of salt. You can do it or you can't, but I think the viewers enjoy it as well as it just looks more professional. So I hope that helped. If it helped you, that's great. Let me know. If it didn't, that's quite all right as well. It's just little things that I've learned and hopefully issues that you won't have to have if you watch this video. So thanks for watching.